Give me a second, guys. Let me see if I can get some. Let's see if I can get some audio for you guys. All right, cool. If you guys are coming in, just let me know where you guys are from. I'll get the stream going up. Yeah, there's a few things we get to talk about today. Let me see. All right, just give it a few more minutes. I'm gonna give it a few more seconds for everyone to get in, and we're just gonna get this going. What up, Howling Mad? Let's go, Mike. Let me see if I can get some of this audio for you guys. All right. What's up going on, everybody? It's Ron Good at FightHype, one of the many guys that cover the sport of boxing over here. So, pretty much, we're gonna do a Netflix MVP's Paul Tyson Taylor Serrano press conference watch party. Won't be able to actually play the footage, right? But we would have a couple people out there at the event. We would do some correspondence work. I'll probably be able to do a little bit of the audio, but I'll have to probably play a little bit of music behind it so that we don't get no copyright strikes. Just a fair thing to do. But I'm sure everyone already has their opinions, already know exactly who and what they think is going to win and what they like and don't like about this, right? Obviously, there's a lot of controversy in it, but it's going down. In addition to this, there's a lot of stuff that has happened over the weekend with Lomachenko winning his fight. In addition to a lot of people seeing the response is Gervonta saying he wants Lomachenko. Shakur says he wants Lomachenko. Ryan Garcia and Cambosis is going into it. So just a little introduction stream, and we're going to kind of react to this very unique press conference that's going on. But let me see. Let me get some quick little shout outs from my guys in here. Where is the chat? Let me make sure I get you guys set up. It's on Netflix. Yeah, so the press conference is going to be on YouTube, but the fight itself is actually going to be on Netflix, right? That's pretty big. That's pretty huge, right? So let me see. Why do I not have my chat? There we go. I got my chat right there. Can't do a stream without including you guys right there, right? So boom. All right, cool. Howling Mad Dog 12. Let's go, Mike. Rafael 32. Navarrete has a tough task. I got Usyk defeating. So yeah, we can get into the fights over this weekend. I literally right before I got on just interviewed Giovanni Santillan, who's going to be the co-main fight, and Brian Norman Jr. So that performance against Alexa Rocha was crazy. And I also interviewed Navarrete. So Navarrete is going to be in a very tough fight. He's going to be fighting for the WBO, the lightweight division. So this is going to determine pretty much the four top guys, right? Navarrete winner, Gervonta, Lomachenko, Shakur. So the lightweight division's still popping. Randy Potts, you're in Mississippi. That's what's up. I'm in the East Coast right now. Normally, I'm located out in Las Vegas. So, yep, it's gonna be on Netflix. What up? What up, Romero Perez? Tyson needs to end the Jake Paul hype nonsense. We'll see. We'll definitely see. I mean, this is one of those very interesting fights that it looks like they're saying the audio's messed up. Hold on. Let me double check real quick. Most. I'm just trying to sneak some of this audio. Okay. All right. Let me know real quick. Can you hear a little bit of the audio? Okay. All right. That's Ariel Helwani going on right now. So if you guys do have the stream on another platform, you can watch it while we just react together. But I can't be mad at Jake Paul and Mike Tyson for getting the bag, right? Because boxing is a very niche sport, and because of it, we definitely need these big events. And I think Netflix is going to be a really cool platform that hopefully they stay into it. When I am Danny 716, yo, Doomsday, Doomsday is May 22nd, right? It almost feels like this is your rematch, right? You originally won the Ryan Garcia pick, right? You were one of the few, if not the couple I can remember that picked Ryan Garcia, all right, prior to the surge of Ryan Garcia fans of the fight night. But you had Ryan Garcia win. Now, A sample, B sample stuff, right? So, we gotta wait till May 22nd, right? The man is either innocent or he had something in his system. So I know that you're ready to ride that out, right? Ready to defend your boy. Awesome, good fight. Norman Jr. still undefeated, right? Yep. Brian Norman is undefeated, right? And it was interesting. I don't know if you guys know this. When I interviewed Santillan, Giovanni Santillan sparred Floyd Mayweather and Timothy Bradley, while Brian Norman sparred Crawford and Ennis, both undefeated. And this should have been for the interim WBO. So it's really the WBO vacant title fight to me. But that's going to be a banger. Like, that fight's about to be a banger. Like, I interviewed both those guys, and I know they're both motivated. So, who deserves to fight with Loma, Tank, or Shakur? Um, there's two ways to look at it, right? Um, okay, I got the Jake Paul presser up right now, just making sure that I'm in tune with it. All right, let me make sure I got some audio going. Um, who deserves to fight more with Loma? I think it's really more of the fact that does Tank want to fight Loma or not, right? I think Shakur being signed to Top Rank should have got him the fight, right? But at the same time, I'm sure Loma will rather fight Javante because that's been like an 8-year brewing fight, which unfortunately is, if it does happen, it happens at a time which most boxing fans aren't really entertained about the idea of an older Lomachenko. But you could have said the other way, it was a younger Javante versus a more experienced Lomachenko when it comes to um, stuff like that. So I think Javante Loma makes more sense, but if you're Shakur, you're feeling like you're getting gypped out. So it's kind of I want to see both of them. And personally, may not be the popular pick, but I think, especially come off Saturday, I think Javante and Shakur both beats Lomachenko in different type of fashion. Just because I think Lomachenko just had a great performance. He overexceeded because I didn't think he was going to stop Kambosos. Not because I didn't think he wasn't going to beat him, but he's a little bit older and he's coming off a year of layoff. And Kambosos is a lot of heart. He has a lot of heart, so it was very impressive that he did that. Mike Golden, when do they fight? Um, let me see. They fight July 20th. So make sure on Netflix, you ain't gotta worry about no pay-per-view, nothing like that. It's gonna be July 20th if you're in Arlington, Texas. That's when Mike Tyson and Jake Paul is gonna be going down. It should be Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, but I think the headline is Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. A little weird. It's front loaded like that, but maybe not. Maybe we're just past that time, right? The new generation of Jake Paul. I am Danny says Tank versus Loma should be next. I agree. I think we've been waiting for that for a while. I do have Tank beating him. Why is there no hype for Fury versus Usyk? One fight. What up? One fight. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's really big in the UK. I'm sure it's really big in Ukraine. In America, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but maybe we're just not interested because we don't have an American heavyweight involved in it. And the American heavyweight scene has been pretty rough I know we have Jared Anderson coming up, and Deontay Wilder's been kind of holding it down for the most part. But outside of that, I don't feel the buzz. At least over here, it's definitely a huge fight. It's undisputed for heavyweight. But outside of that, maybe the timing of it, I don't know. I can't really speak on it outside of the fact that I just think the American public isn't invested because we don't have a good heavyweight, right? We don't have a good heavyweight contending in this. Ryan is a drug cheat. Now, with that, all right, I'm going to give Ryan the benefit of the doubt. Not saying I think he's going to pass the test, right, Angel? I actually believe that he's going to fail the test because he has two tests to disprove, which is really hard to disprove an A sample and a B sample, but he has to do that twice. And that's usually because you want some sort of consistency to show. And there's already consistency of showing that by the day before and day after. So now he has to disprove two. I don't know if necessarily he's going to be able to. So I'm going to hold my truest opinions to May 22nd because that's when the B sample will be evaluated, I believe. I don't know if they're going to do a public announcement, but we may go live just in case they do so we can react. But I do think he's going to fail. If he did intentionally or not, I mean, I can never know. Going at Minnesota Mick. What's up, dog? Going at Cambosa's wife is bad. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, we have footage of Ryan Garcia's mom reacting to it. And, it kind of sucks because it was Mother's Day, right? Like, it's one thing about trash talking, but maybe I'm just a mama's boy, right? Leave the wife and children out of it, right? Unless it's brought up. And none of that was brought up. So I was not a fan of that. Ryan, I'm not a fan of that. So, um, shout out to Wichita, Kansas. What up, Regio? What's up, dog? Appreciate you dropping in. We got the press conference. We're just watching it right now. I don't know. Nothing's really popping off right now. Very respectful press conference. So I don't really think there's gonna be too much to be talking about on here. Minnesota Mick Tink versus Loma is a great fight. I think it's a great fight. I think Lomachenko still has enough skills, but I just think you can see glimpses of him not the Lomachenko we know, right? And I'm not saying that that would have helped his case either more if you were already like a person who believed in Javante Tank Davis, but I just really think Javante right now and Lomachenko is set up for potentially of Lomachenko getting his head knocked off. He just seemed a little bit less defensively sound and more willing to engage because he doesn't have the actual youthfulness to kind of maneuver as well as he did. His experience is way better, right? I mean, you got so much better by fighting Tio and Devin, right? But I think Tank has gotten better. Tank has gotten more confident. Tank's always had power. And I just think, timing's really the most important thing when it sometimes comes to boxing. You could be this amazing boxer, but if you're timing the fight right, which I think this might be the best time for Tank, I think it's now. I think it's now for Tank to get the most optimized version of him getting knocked out. NY Bullet, what's up, Ron? What's up, dog? Appreciate you, man. Yeah, like I said, I just got the press conference up. I'm watching it, and let's see. I think their stream's kind of messed up. Yeah, their stream is delayed. Yeah, it's a very respectful press conference. Nothing, you're not missing it. It's like, yo, of course I would fight Jake Paul. It's no brainer. Mike Tyson's a legend. Yeah, we would totally want to work with Netflix. Why wouldn't we? It's a big platform. Like, yeah, nothing exciting going on too much to talk about on that. But I am peeping it right here, and something pops off. I'll be able to sneak a little bit of the audio in. Yeah, E. Yeah, going up Campbell's wife was unsolicited. Unsolicited too. Those who don't know that means for no. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it was very unwanted. I mean, I don't think nobody wanted to see Ryan and Cambosos. Like they don't really have history. Like there's really no consistent. Like I wouldn't have thought Ryan reacting to Cambosos was on my bucket list after the fight. Tank, yes. Shakur, yes. Devin, yes. um, Tio, guys that like that, but Ryan, no, and just to kind of go at someone's mom like that just really isn't ideal. Um, let's see. Walter's Wacky's Adventure opinion. Um, Oh, were you giving an opinion or you have one? Let's see. Angel. Tank wants to fight an Oloma now. I mean, that's what I was saying, right? Essentially, Gervonta's timing to fight Lomachenko can't be any better than now. Not saying that he wouldn't won back then, but I do feel like everyone sees that if you're a real boxing fan and not a hater, right? Because a lot of people kind of say any type of criticism is hating. I think I think at anyone who saw Lomachenko fight in Kambosos that night saw glimpses of good old Lomachenko and Lomachenko that got hit a little bit more than they were liking. And I've heard someone say maybe he was going for the knockout, and when you go for the knockout, you take more risks. But there was a lot of opportunities for Kambosos to land the body shot, and he did. There was a lot of opportunities where if Kambosos was offensive and wanted to press the action, he actually won two, max three on my scorecards. And the round that he won, the first one was purely off good body shots. And the other round was just being way more active, pressing action, and being offensive. So let's see. Mike G. What up, Ron? What's up, Mike? Appreciate you, my dog. I am Danny 716. Virgil Ortiz versus Xander Zayas is going to be lit. If that fight happens, right? I think Virgil versus Tim Tszyu right now is lit. So I don't want to skip over Tim Tszyu's chances of winning that fight, right? I think Tim by far is that's a 50-50 fight, 100%. I know that Tim's coming off a loss, but with all the blood and everything, and Virgil just trying to get acclimated at 154. I mean, look, that is as good as it gets. And if Virgil happens to get past Tim, then I would favor Virgil over Xander, just clearly off that win alone. But I would totally love that fight. I think Xander is a great prospect, turning the contender. And I like his chances too. Just hasn't seen the fights to give me the confidence yet. So that's why I said if Virgil beats Tim, that's a lot of confidence that I can put behind him because that's a very credible win. And him beating Mean Machine too was a very credible win personally. Everyone's counting Frank Martin out. What up, Romero? He will give hell to Tank for some good rounds. Absolutely. They sparred each other. I think it's truth on what, yeah, this press conference is actually delayed. Like, it's freezing up. The Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. So, everyone in their chat spamming L. So, um, but yeah, I think what they're saying, like, listen carefully to the interviews. I think what they're saying is true. Like, these two guys have a little bad blood from their sparring. I don't think they're lying. I think they're just telling their truths. I think Tank, or like Coach Kenny was saying something about no holding. So I'm assuming there was a lot of excessive holding in the sparring. And Frank saying that he landed some good shots. I don't think that's not crazy. I think Frank is a really good contender. So. We'll see, man. You never know. That's a very fun stylistic fight, and I think Frank Martin, if you guys really think about it, he's a fighter that hits at angles and he turns. So Frank Martin might be a good style to help him with Lomachenko because Lomachenko's footwork is really good at turning his opponents. And if you notice, Frank does that pretty often. So if Tank fights Frank and adapts to a fighter that hits off angles and turns and doesn't fight on a straight line and constantly pivots his foot, you know, then I think that's going to be great for Tank to get ready for Lomachenko because I think Lomachenko, if not one of the best fighters currently turning their opponents, right? I'm big on fighters turning their opponents. So kind of why I praised Frank for a while and saw that he was definitely going to be at least a contender, if not a champion, you know? So great opposition to get him ready for Lomachenko. Frank Martin is going to get KO'd by Tank. Everyone keeps hoping for Tank's loss, but it's not happening. I will favor Tank, right? I definitely favor Tank. There's no doubt about it. I don't think I have I don't think I have the I like how would I say it? It's like I think Frank's a good fighter, right? But I think Tank just has something a little bit more in him that's going to get him the win. I don't know if it's the power. I don't know if it's the experience. I don't know if it's boxing IQ, his professional experience, his amateur experience. Because Frank has only had a small amateur background, but his amateur background is pretty solid because he's also beaten Virgil Ortiz on in the amateurs, which is significantly a bigger guy. So Frank beating Virgil Ortiz lets me know his amateur background wasn't like bullshit. So, and he's already here in the talks of fighting guys like Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis. So he's definitely worthy of the spot. But I think just Tank just has something. We'll find out that night. I will favor Tank, but um, I also like Frank's chances. I think it's a great fight, and I'm excited for it. Adam Beanie Smith came a long way since being the T-boy from the box. Yo, chill out. Why are you saying the T-boy? What does that even mean? Nah, shout out to TBV, right? Everyone starts out somewhere, right? So, that's I got a lot of love for Ness. My boy Danny's doing his thing over there. I'm just doing my thing over here now. So I got a lot of love for them. Appreciate them, right? So you never forget where you came from. But T-boy, I appreciate the love, even though you threw a little slight dig. I know that was just out of love. So no, I appreciate you showing up. You know, got a lot of love for them. I always will. So shout out to them for doing their thing. One fight porcupine. Any updates on Mayweather hostage situation? Yeah, he's here in the U.S. I don't know. Look, I'm gonna plead the fifth because I'm not gonna sit here and act like I knew what was true or not or what's happened. I don't know. I personally don't know, and I'm not gonna speculate or act like I have any clues. Right? I just know that he's here. That's it. So he's not in Dubai. So both great fighters, 50-50 fight. I agree. It's a good fight. I'm turning in from. Oh, I appreciate it, Red. Appreciate it. I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm trying to get excited for this Jake Paul Mike Tyson press conference, and if there's anything that comes out of it, but it just seems real mid, and I mean that respectfully. Like, not saying that I won't tune into it. It's just when you watch a press conference, you need something from it besides, yo, of course, I would like to fight this opponent. I respect him, yada yada. I would like to work for Netflix. Like, I'm not saying you gotta be disrespectful, but it's a press conference, right? So right now, it's also having a lot of technical glitches and issues. Like, at least the one that I'm watching on Most Valuable Promotions. I don't know if you guys are watching on another stream, but it's just glitching. It's unwatchable at this point. Yeah, it's unwatchable. So. Um, what do you think about Pitbull versus Ryo? NY Bullet. Pitbull versus Ryo. And real quick, I'm not in my normal setting, so if there's noise or background noise, I'm in a business office setting right now. I'm out on some personal time, so if there's some noise coming in. I appreciate you guys just kind of working with me, but I'm in a business office setting. So, but what do you think about Pitbull versus Ryo? I think that is a great fight. I love Ryo's chances in that because he's a puncher, and I always give punchers a chance. I should have gave Ryan more credit. I mean, more possibility for the Devin fight, but Ryo is technical. He did get caught by Edwin De Los Santos, but as you can see, Shakur knew not to engage with him. Granted, if he was injured, it was really smart not to engage with him. But he's a puncher, and I think Pitbull is on this insane run of fighting Gervonta Tank Davis to fighting Rolly, which these guys are heavy-handed punchers. Say what you guys want about Rolly, but I know for a fact when Rolly landed punches on Pitbull, it hurt. Pitbull might have one of the best poker faces, let alone one of the best chins in boxing. And if I see Pitbull take Javante's punches and not go down, Rolly's punches and not get stumbled, and Ryo's punches and not flinch, he might have arguably one of, if not the best chin in boxing, right? Because those guys are all punchers, and this dude is clearly smaller than every single one of his opponents. So I don't know what Pitbull's eating. I don't know what is in his system, his diet, but that shit is granted chin, like protein or some shit. So I love the fight. I think that card is excellent. Like I'm every week, I'm like, yo, that card is fire, right? So I love that fight, and I respect Pitbull for taking that fight, like 100%, like 1,000%. Ryan versus Spence. I have Ryan win by KO. Spence is damaged good. You know, I am Danny. I'm not gonna count you out because originally, respectfully, at the same time, I picked Devin against you. Right, not saying that your pick was crazy. Clearly, you know something about Ryan that we don't. Right, so at first when I heard Ryan Spence clearly big, I'm just like, nah, man, that's crazy. But you don't know the residual damages that Spence has took in that fight, and plus Ryan is active right now. And look, I can't sit here in front and be like thinking it's absolutely impossible, right? Maybe 2 years from now, I could have probably been a little bit more, what's the better word? Uh, Critical on that type of match, right? Been like, yo, they fucking crazy, Danny. Like, why the hell would you want that fight? That's like a murder. But Ryan has definitely shown skill, power, moving up. Spence is definitely in the later part of his career. So if Ryan beats Spence, He's the man, dude. Like he's already kind of the man right now, especially if he beats his B sample allegations. Mayweather should not return anywhere near the Middle East when he gets freed. He's freed right now, so I can't speak on what if that was true or not. But if he was held up, I would have doubled down on that. I would not doubt that one bit. One fight porcupine. Spence got one of the sloppiest footworks I've seen from a professional boxer. Nah, I don't think so. I think if you're judging it purely off the Crawford fight, I mean I had Crawford winning by pretty much almost identical to what the fight happened. Maybe a little less one-sided than that, but it's hard to look good against Crawford, man. And even if you do, it's only going to be a moment of the fight. So I got Ryan by KO. Yeah, see, I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan beat KO. I haven't really put too much time into that. The press conference already started. It's on the Netflix channel. Is it working on the Netflix channel? Is my question because it's not working on the most valuable MVP. Let me see. Oh, okay. The feed is better on Netflix. Yeah. Okay, cool. Good looking on that. Carry one link. Yeah, this zero aggression boring. Yeah, we're gonna say this press is pretty rough. Red definitely knows he's just pleading the fifth. I am pleading the fifth. If I plead the fifth, it's for the right reasons. One fight porcupine. Yeah, if you just go to Netflix, Carrie. I am Danny716. What's up with New York State Boxing Commission? Since when do they ever wait for B samples to come out before do the punishment of hearing? Um, so this is what happens, right? VADA, the independent drug testing agency that they agreed to use for the fight, has it's not working on Netflix. Oh no, my bad. Maybe Netflix YouTube channel. Remember Netflix YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel of Netflix. Let me clarify that. The YouTube channel of Netflix. Um, should pop up. Should have like 11,000 people watching. But going to your question, Danny, they hired an independent drug testing, VADA. So with this, which also WBC uses it as well. So by default, it would have been obligated if you're ranked in the top, I think like top 10, 15 in WBC ranking. So they have collected a sample before and after, claiming that they have found a banned substance of ostarine before and after the fight. So they give him the proper hearing to get his B sample tested. Now, for the B sample to be tested, the New York Boxing Commissions are the ones that have to clear that, right? So that it's not like essentially the same organization testing both in case if they messed up on them. So, since when did they ever wait for B sample to come out before they do punishment of the hearing? Well, and the reason why they have to wait, right, to answer when do they ever wait for B sample to come out is because you got to think about it. Do you think it's fair for the New York Boxing Commission to give a verdict before they actually get a fair testing, right? So for Ryan's benefit out and sake, he did ask for his B sample to be tested, and he is going through the procedure to get his original sample, which is split into two, right? He'll put his sample, essentially P, in one cup, and then he'll split it into others, and then they kind of send it off. So the A sample could have been easily been accidentally someone who might have been testing something of someone who failed, may have contaminated, maybe that person didn't know what he was doing. But and even like giving Ryan the most benefit of that, right? Which once again, I think he's gonna fail his B sample for it. That's my honest opinion. Even at the worst benefit of the doubt, he takes um what was it? They took both these samples. I don't know if they quote unquote tested both at the same exact time, which I don't think so. I think they tested separate periods of times. But let's say hypothetically you got the before and after and they tested both the same time, which means there's a chance of both being cross contaminated, right? So so it is impressive that Ryan is asking for a B sample because just like major media says right here, most people don't request and sample is Ryan the only dummy living his life. So he feels that granted he doesn't yeah, he's kind of living in the moment of just waiting. So most people don't request the B sample, right? The B sample always goes missing. So I asked Ryan Garcia, "Are you going to do the B sample?" And he told me, "Yeah, absolutely." So the fact that he said it, he's going through it, I absolutely have to give the most benefit of doubt because we have to wait. So does the New York Boxing Commission. They have to wait. They have to wait, and it's the only fair thing to do. Now, if he does fail, If he intentionally did or not, you can't prove that. But all you can prove is what was in his system. So we just have to wait. I have to wait. And the only reason why I'm being, I don't know, like pessimistic about him failing is because the likelihood of passing your B sample is very small, and he has two of them. So that consistency of those two different samples showing that there's a high chance that he's probably going to fail the B samples equally. But if he miraculously does not fail, and this dude has defied the odds twice of being an underdog in a fight and an underdog in drug testing, and he is the motherfucking man. Rad from T-boy to businessman. Appreciate it, man. I ain't got a suit on, so but I appreciate it. Mike Tyson, but when is Mike Tyson? When is it? July 20th. July 20th, Arlington. Red says Ryan needs to shut up until the 22nd. No shade to him, but dude, your legacy's on the line and you're worried about another man's fight. I'll be honest, Red. Even if hypothetically he does fail the test, right? There's a lot of fighters that fail his test, and it just like think about it. When's the last fighter that failed a test and got completely publicly destroyed? Like just completely removed from public's opinions of like a beloved fighter, right? There's a lot of fighters that fail tests. If you feel like he intentionally did it or not, people still support it. Canelo's failed a drug test. David Benavidez has failed a drug test. Roy Jones has failed a drug test. Tony Tarver failed a drug test. Like, so many people have failed drug tests, and it's just subjective on how people feel about it. I think Big Baby Miller is one of the few guys that kind of got extremely ridiculed to infinity and beyond, but he still gets to fight. So I think Ryan, hypothetically, if he fails, depending on if there is some sort of suspension, depending how long the suspension is, will be quickly overturned. I mean, he'll be quickly active. He'll be on vacation, and then he'll be back fighting. And his core audience who does support him will support him. And the ones that didn't really support him will continue not to support him. So, but that's worst case scenario if he fails, right? Best case scenario is he wins, and it creates skepticism and conspiracies on the side that thought that he failed. So it's almost the reverse, right? He failed the test. Now people saying what he says is conspiracy. But if he passes, then the other side is going to say conspiracy. So you can't really win the public, right? You can only win your fan base. I got Ryan. I got Ryan's Ghost Punch by KO. It's not working on Netflix. Oh, okay, yeah. It's on the Netflix YouTube channel. Um, there's some quotes. Keith Idis actually. Shout out to Keith. He's actually doing a transcript of it. Some of the stuff that's being said. Actually, let me read the comments first, and I'll go into it. Tyson lost my respect when he bit Holyfield. Yeah, Freshly Jones. What up, Freshly? Um, I was like 7 when that happened, so I couldn't really fall in love with Tyson. I just kind of was like, dude, biting his ear. That's fucking crazy. Tyson wins. I'm buying drinks. I want him to win bad. I think a lot of boxing fans want him to win bad. I think that's the normal consensus, right? But he has a lot to win. Nah, does he? He has actually a lot to lose. Jake has a lot to win. So Tyson, an ear biting D bag. Yeah, I was not a fan of that, But you know, things happen. Killer, what fighters at welterweight do you think Ryan has a chance beating, and who is he losing to? I think he loses Duran Ennis. I think Duran Ennis is a special, talented fighter. Um, I like his chances against. I don't know, dude. Like this coming up Saturday on Top Rank, Stantillion versus Brian Norman is gonna be a great fight, and that fight's gonna let me know like what this division looks like. I'm kind of a fan of the Stantillion dude. Like he's the way he beat the hell out of Alexa Rocha, like woo. Um, but Brian Norman, he's been in the ring with Crawford and John Ennis. He sparred them, and there's still a lot of opportunities for him to kind of make a big impact in that fight. Stan Jonas looked good. I don't know. I like Ryan's chances. I would probably still pit him as the underdog against like maybe, John Ennis, maybe Stan Tillian, depending on this fight Saturday. Mario Bars he might have a chance against. And Stan Jonas might be a 50-50 fight. So um Kareem, you're corny and in the dark if you're reporting on boxing and only know about modern fighters. I don't know about that, Kareem. You probably listened to 9,000 of my interviews. I don't report on just modern fighters. What this is just a live chat, commentating with people. So, how would you get a chance to get to know someone before you come in here and just start criticizing? So, All up to you though. Thanks for the view, if that's how you feel. But I've interviewed tons of guys in here, and if you want me to report on fights in 1960, those fights don't exist. Those fights don't happen right now because it's already happened. So that's all you can do is report on modern boxing right now. Let's see. What about a failed test plus coming overweight? Um, I can't I can't really speak on the overweight part because simply the fact is Devin agreed to it, right? Devin agreed to take the fight at the weight, just like Ryan took the rehydration clause, right? If it was good enough for them, then who am I to complain, right? The failed test is kind of a thing we're still in limbo because we still got to wait for May 22nd. But I know people are going to add those two things together and then they're going to obviously it's an advantage. In reality, it probably is some sort of advantage, but Devin still lost the fight, in my personal opinion, by fighting in a way where it wasn't the most beneficial. Um, You're critiquing Tyson with no true knowledge about Tyson. What am I critiquing about Tyson without any knowledge? I'm reading a comment about someone saying they did not like his ear biting. And I said I was not a fan of his ear biting either. Outside of that, that's the only thing we spoke about Tyson. In the press conference with Jake Paul, and Tyson's very respectful, which doesn't really, in my personal opinion, have the greatest press conferences or the most memorable ones, right? So if you want to ask me stuff about what I think about Tyson or what his chances in the fight with Jake Paul, I think this fight is a very interesting fight simply because of the fact that he's extremely active, he's extremely old in comparison to most modern boxers when they continue to fight. And he has a puncher's chance. He's highly skilled. He's probably arguably in the top 100 heavyweights of all time, depending on how heavily you critique Mike Tyson or love Mike Tyson. And I think that this really just comes down to the fact that if Mike Tyson is any percent of a normal, healthy Mike Tyson, of like any percentage of it, he has a winning chance, if not an obvious winning chance, of knocking out Jake Paul. But if he has none of the essence that make Mike Tyson, then he may potentially lose to a guy who's simply just younger, near his size, and been boxing for a decent amount of time to potentially upset what many people feel is a boxing legend. So, no critique. I mean, I appreciate. I'll interact with you. You can comment as much. But that's probably what you came into. You probably came into us talking about someone saying someone does not like him biting Holyfield's ear, which is not something most people like. So, but but going back to major media, I think it's just I don't really want to discredit Ryan's fight. I think Devin just didn't fight in a manner that um, personally I was a fan of. I thought he should have boxed more. So even with the overweight and the failed test, Fernando Vargas um, lost, and you know a lot of fighters in PEDs have lost. So Bar Association BRC top 100 heavyweights. What the F is this guy rambling about? The reason why I say top 100, I said depending on how critical you are of Mike Tyson or how much you like Mike Tyson, right? I wouldn't put him at 100, but I bet you there's channels that say Mike Tyson don't belong in the top 10, don't belong in the top 15, don't belong in the top 20, don't belong in the top 30, right? It's a subjective based opinion, right? I think there's other heavyweights that are better than Mike Tyson, and I don't really care to do a top 100 list if you ask me. So I'm saying that Mike Tyson, out of the thousands of heavyweights, belongs in a top 100, regardless of where you place him or someone else places him. I think anything outside of 100 is extremely insulting, but that's what I'm rambling about. A lot of fighters don't do that. Um, Only difference in Ryan's case is and all others who failed, he's going after and disrespecting the boxing commission in Nevada. It wouldn't be the first one. He's probably doing it publicly, right? There's a lot of guys who have questioned VADA. Um, so it's his kind of coping mechanism. And let's just say hypothetically he didn't intentionally do it. Then how does he try to frame his innocence? He probably feels there is a conspiracy against him. But I do think Ryan is going to fail his test. But I got to wait till May 22nd and give him the benefit of the doubt because he did request a B sample, so why not? The fight's going to be a draw and Fury wins the rematch. I hope Fury and Usyk does not do the rematch. Red, corny hype. Hope you ain't talking some shit, Red. Um, let's see. What interviews you did that stands out for you from any boxer or boxing legend? I don't know. Like, if you ask me, like, what's some of my favorite interviews or like very memorable interviews? I mean, I've done so many. Like, I don't really, I guess, keep track too much. Um, I definitely interviewed Roy Jones right after the Devin Haney Lomachenko fight, which was a really good interview because it gave a lot of clarity to two different perspectives on why people thought Devin won and why people thought Loma won, and why that both sides are extremely valid, and that why judging is extremely subjective, and that's why you can see an 8-4 Devin Haney or like a 7-5, 8-4 Lomachenko. So that was a really good interview. Um, I've what's it say? Don't listen to the trolls. I see they're coming in, and he's reading comments. I appreciate it, I Danny. You know what it is. You know what it is. But like I said, I always say this: if you write it, I'll read it. So if you write something negative in here, something bad, I'll read it. You know what I mean? As long as it's nothing racist or misogynistic. But other than that, I'll read the comment and I'll address it. So if you don't like what I said, it's perfectly fine. I think I'm pretty fair. I think I'm a pretty fair guy who gives his opinion public and who's not scared. All right. I am Danny, 716 Crawford versus Benavidez. I think that fight is absolutely insane. I think that fight shouldn't probably happen just because I don't think David can come down and weight. And I think asking Crawford to go up, it's just, I don't know. I would say Ryan's calling them is definitely for especially. Yeah. I mean, he's entitled to his opinion. Ice chain, no filter. So Jake Paul's going to look back if he beats a 6-year-old man. Oh, Jake Paul's going to look bad if he. I mean, I don't think the fans are like attracted to this fight. I think it's a genius marketing fight, and I don't think any fighter would want to turn this down, depending on the money that he makes. He's an influencer boxing. Maybe they are in cahoots, right? But no, I think it should be what it looks like. It's probably going to look like a guy who's older versus a guy who's still learning how to box. So. Yeah, bro, this is corn, no racism or misogyny and stuff. I love your sarcasm, Brent. Can we move on from Ryan? Yeah, I mean, it's in the headline, right? But it's gonna come up, right? And I think Danny, I think when May 22nd comes, and I already stated my opinion. If he fails, I'll probably be a little critical. I'll be pretty critical on Ryan. But if he passes, I gave Ryan the benefit of the doubt going into it. Johnny, Ryan ain't ever scared. I'm not. Look, and this is for everyone here too, right? Please just be your authentic self. Like, please never be afraid to give an opinion and even challenge my opinion to say, I don't know what I'm talking about, right? I'm perfectly fine with that. You know, if it's worth writing, it's worth reading. The only time I don't read the chat is if it's one of those days where there's like 40,000 people in there and it's absolutely impossible to get to the whole chat. Like, but this is a very calm, small, mild chat. We're just kicking it, and yeah, I'll read every single one. So I don't duck and dodge nothing. Who does Canelo fight next? I don't think he's gonna fight David Benavidez because obviously David's gonna come up. I unfortunately think he's gonna fight Edgar Berlanga. No disrespect to Edgar, covered him for a long time. I just say unfortunately because I feel like Edgar probably is 3, 4 fights away from being ready for a Canelo fight. I don't want to say he's not deserving of a Canelo fight because who am I to say who gets what fight, right? I mean, he's like a mandatory for some sort of WBA. If it's David Morrell, Canelo, however they spin it, it doesn't matter. Like he's highly ranked. So I just don't feel like he has enough professional experience to be ready for a Canelo Alvarez. And I could be wrong, right? That's why we watch the sport. But I just unfortunately think that Canelo is at a point where he should be fighting fights that are a lot more competitive for a lot of money as a fan. Now, he's done a lot in the sport, so he's entitled to fight whoever he wants for that type of money, and I respect that, and I think that is fair for him to do that. But as a consumer, I'm not a fan of the Edgar Berlanga fight, and I'm probably not going to advocate or ever advocate until he fights a guy like Caleb Plant or someone kind of like a former champion to give me the idea that he has a potential chance. And even though like Munguia gave me the kind of the same impression, Munguia has at least showed a lot better consistency in fighting, at least like a guy like John Ryder and having a better performance after Canelo did, just giving me the potential imagination. I have no imagination whatsoever for Edgar Berlanga beating Canelo. So because that doesn't exist in my brain, there's a high chance that I'm not excited for that fight. Uncomfortable with Ryan Truth. Hey, Ryan has the opportunity to shock the world again with his B sample stuff. So, but the message about him just taking care of the kids, I agree with it. And E, if you were in the live on that day, I wore the Free the Children shirt simply because his dad gave it to me, but simply because the fact I picked Devin to win. So for me to eat crow in front of everyone, I definitely wore that shirt. And I thought Ryan was the man. I thought he legitimately was the better fighter with the PEDs, if he was in it or not, with the overweight 3 pounds, because Devin agreed to it. So you can't make excuses for it. I literally thought he was just the better fighter, and I still believe that for the most part. Just if he did fail the test, I feel that he needs to be reprimanded, just like anyone else, because I think it'd be extremely unfair, you know. And I think it's fair for people to think it played a part of it. I can't criticize anyone thinking that, you know. Give me Benavidez and Morrell. What up, Charles? Since we can't get Canelo against either one of them, I agree. And maybe that's a fight that maybe Turkey Al Sheet can do. But I think David Benavidez and Morrell is a great fight. It's definitely not the most marketable fight, right? Because remember, boxing is a business. Can that fight actually do numbers? Do people know David Morrell? So because of that, I think Morrell and David's not going to fight anytime soon, outside of the hardcore fans asking for it, just because there isn't really a demand. And there's really not a lot of demand for a lot of these boxing fights outside of us. I didn't. I'm smart, so you know what? I know Ryan didn't cheat. So you moving on. Yeah, my man Danny's Ryan all the way. Mike Tyson's gonna pull his punches like he did against Rogers. He might, and that might make this event just an event, not really an exciting fight, but just an event. But you know, it's Mike Tyson, so he might get hit with a good shot and be like, you know what, motherfucker, I'm knocking you out. And next, you know, Jake Paul is completely laid out on the fucking canvas, or some, right? So we don't know. That's why we got to watch on July 20th in Arlington, Texas, on Netflix. If Ryan comes out clean, what fight makes sense for him next? I think Earl Spence is an amazing, perfect lineup fight, right? Because you got Earl, who's inactive, damaged from the Crawford fight. How much he's damaged, we don't know. They share a trainer at one point, where then Earl splits for personal reasons, and Ryan defends because that's his trainer. I think those two names are very electric because Spence is coming off of a Crawford fight and Ryan's coming off Javante and Devin, and I think that is a great storyline, and I think is a winnable fight for Ryan Garcia, and I think is a winnable fight for Spence, right? Because Spence is the bigger guy, you know, he's dominated the welterweight division outside of Crawford, and I think that's a huge money fight. So I think Ryan and Spence probably is the most marketable, most sensible fight to make. But aside of that, Pitbull is a good option. Rolly can still be an option. Rolly could probably still be an option if Ryan loses to like an Errol Spence. So I think Ryan has a lot of options, but I think Earl right now is probably the most intriguing one in my eyes. I'm just spamming cheese, so what I'm saying is relevant as anything else in this chat. Devin cheated about the referee. Devin has been cheating his entire career, weight bullying. I mean, you can't say he cheated as a weight bully, right? It's if he can make the weight, he makes the weight, and he had no control of the referee. I thought the referee Ryan and Devin was terrible, terrible, and taking a point was so unnecessary. So I do think Harvey Dot had better roughing days. So um, he always makes weight, unlike Garcia. Yeah, Devin's always made weight. He's always been a professional. And Ryan has, outside of this fight, has always made the weight that was agreed upon, right? Ryan doesn't consistently fight at 140. But, you know, I can't use the weight thing because Devin agreed to it. But they first didn't agree to it because they said 140. So I think they made the fight because they still wanted to make it happen. They believed they could win. So fair game. Morrell would kill Belonga. I agree. I think Belonga does not beat any of the top guys. Not saying he can't, just simply because he hasn't shown me in his professional career anything in the opposition he's faced. So, Weight Bully got bullied. When do you think John Furious headbutt Ward Holyfield Bradley would be proud? Yo, I showed my girl today. I don't know if you saw. There's a footage, like a compilation that Happy punched in on Twitter. You should see if you, the funnier is what you should see Tyson Fury's reaction is, right? Actually, let me see if I could probably show it on my phone. Happy punch. I thought the headbutt was fucking out of nowhere and completely unnecessary. Personally, like I don't know why he just headbutted this dude coming up just chanting. But Tyson Fury, when he saw his dad, he like came in the room chanting, and and he looks at his dad like, "Yo, you're bleeding. What's going on? What the hell's going on?" Like he's so concerned. That's really the highlight of it. Like he comes in on some. There's only one Tyson Fury, right? Like, and then he's like, "What the hell? Where?" Dad's like, "Oh, whatever. It's whatever. Whatever, son. Whatever, son. John Fury. We will. The Fury way is always the right way." That's really the funniest part to me, Johnny. Morale has 10 fights. Stop overhyping him. I don't think Morale is overhyped. I think Morale still has developmental things that he does, right? But I think when you see, like, all right, I'm gonna get real geeky, right? I'm gonna get really geeky. Like I'm gonna get boxing nerdy geeky, right? David Morrell, David Morrell's like second or third fight was against Lennox Allen, which was a top super middleweight fighter, right? And Lennox Allen was an extremely talented, tough fighter that trained out of New York. And he was undefeated. He had only one draw. And David Morrell took that fight on like second or third fight for the WBA regular title and definitively one-sided beat him. That was extremely impressive. So that win alone has already impressed me. Now, do I think he beats the top guys? I don't know, right? Since that fight, he hasn't fought an opponent to give me the imagination. But comparing his win versus Edgar's wins, I mean, that Lennox Allen win is already more impressive than things that Edgar Belong has done in his professional career. So I am a fan of Morrell. I just don't know what his ceiling is, and his style is very exciting and may pose threats. So, but he just hasn't been challenged yet. So I don't know what his flaws have been. So I don't see Benavidez match happening unless Nella moves back to 175. I don't see David moving back down either. David will move down. He told me he'll move down. Do I think it makes sense? Absolutely not. Because most times when fighters fluctuate weight up and down, they truly they truly do bad. And David's already at his wits end at 168. So him going to 175 and then randomly testing that he can make 168 without getting acclimated back to the weight again. It's like, but it's boxing, man. That might be a plan with Canelo, man. Canelo's doing some old school tactics. So I don't like that David's coming back down to fight it personally. And but if he agrees, he agrees, and I can't make an excuse. If it's okay with him, it's okay with me. Boost Leaf. I hope Tyson BI slaps Jake. This nah, bro. That was a very anticlimactic press conference, and I appreciate the respect. Right, I'm not saying you have to act a fool, right? But if you want my honest opinion, I won't remember that press conference ever in my entire life. So that was a very. I don't think he's gonna slap him. I think he's gonna be actually one of those respectful. I respect you, you Mike. I respect you, Jake, from getting in boxing, man. I respect you, man. We just boxing, man. You bringing the best out of me. You know, you making me get back in shape. Yada yada, Jake. And Jake's like, "Oh, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm fighting a legend." Like it's gonna be one of those. So if they actually fight, we'll see. Um, I wasn't seeing that with you, Ryan. Okay, I should added the 10 person or something. Oh, okay. Xander Zayas is going to be good as well. He wants all this more. I like Xander. I think Xander is one of those fighters who is showing growth in each fight, right? And whatever shortcomings he showed in a previous fight immediately looks like it's fixed in 1, 2 fights later. So I like his developmental steps. I think over time that he's going to be a serious problem. And I think he's valid to be labeled as a prospect just enter contender status. I think that fits him perfectly well. And I'm not going to overly hype him, you know. So I like Xander a lot. I do. And I think he's moving just along. And keep in mind, he turned pro like at what, 16, 17? So he's extremely young. So that expectation, even though he's been boxing for quite some time, is that he's still a very young guy. So You gotta take your time. He does want on the smoke. Um, Leaf, he's picking on a pensioner. Imagine Tyson loses. I hate. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the fight. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm in love with Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. I'm not. I think one hindsight, everything's all said and done. If it looks like an exhibition, even though it's sanctioned, then I will feel better. But I don't know what the fight's gonna turn out. And if Jake ices Mike, I'm gonna be like, yeah, it's Mike Tyson. But even Sugar Ray Leonard, is taking the L for coming back, and all these, Muhammad Ali, fighting guys that he clearly would have beaten in his prime. Any other guy who comes in way past their prime. Zab Judah versus Cletus Seldon was not a great sight because Cletus Seldon gave Zab Judah some serious injuries and he had brain damage. So I'm not a fan of these type of things. I'm personally, but it's boxing and it happens and it will always happen. So you have to expect it. If you're in love with the sport, this is the ugly part of it. And really, at the end of the day, like I said, they could be doing all this and still just perform as an exhibition, right? They just want to get you bought into the idea that it's a sanctioned bout. And so, but who knows, man? Money talks. This guy's obviously getting paid, and they'll get anyone out of the bed with the right price. Rolly versus Haney. Floyd says he wants that fight. So I think that's a marketable fight. They've sparred each other before. So, but I think Haney still wants to keep his belt, so I think he's going to fight Sandor Martin in a mandatory. You think Boots should move up to 154? Absolutely, at some point. He told me Friday that he wants to be undisputed. He's not really thinking about Crawford. Obviously, he would like the fight, but he doesn't think it's probably realistic. He's not thinking about it. He talked to Turkey Ali Sheik, so if it happens, it happens. If not, so once undisputed, 154 it is. Rolly by murder. Murder, murder, murder. Kill, kill, kill. Like Bullet says. Please, Mike takes this, man. What up, Sam? I am in a perfect world, right? But age and activity. Look, this is one of the craziest things. And listen. I'm not being a Mike hater. I'm not being a Jake Paul supporter, right? I think some people might have got it twisted, right? I'm just speaking from one angle, right? That's all I'm doing, all right? An angle from some people's perspectives, right? Um, this is a crazy thing to look at, right? I've never seen this on box, right? All right, and you guys can't see it. It's flipped backwards, right? But if you ever look, Kevin McBride was in 2005. Jake Paul is 2024. So the gap on his professional box rec goes from 2005 to 2024. Am I a little concerned for Mike Tyson? As you should be when you see something like that. It is Mike Tyson, but still, he's human. So, Ren, Mike better pull up with that same energy when he fought Marvis Frazier, one round KO. Otherwise, Jake might put up fight, and he does have youth on his side. And that's really this fight really doesn't involve about skills. We know who's the more skilled fighter. Right? It just comes down to inactivity, age, youth, and Jake's potential ability to land a solid shot that can hit an aged old man, right? Do I think Bernard Hopkins is a better fighter than Joe Smith Jr.? Absolutely. But what happened in that fight? He got completely annihilated. Outside of just Joe Joe Smith landing a good shot, age. Like they called him an alien because he was trying to freakishly continue boxing. And at that point, you know, didn't work out. So Team Chavez Jr. in the building. What up, TV Box Sale? If you guys have not keep my guy's channel. He's a cool guy. He's been covering boxing longer than I have. So please give him kudos. He's a big family of Fight Hype. He's one of the allies, I would say. So I appreciate you popping in. Let me see. I'm just saying, with all the other clean tests and what we know about PD's work, it's obviously didn't cheat. Gino was hearing. What up, Gino? I heard Devin was 1-6 on fight night. I'll be honest. I don't know what weight Ryan and Devin was, so I can't speak on it. I just be completely speaking on my ass. So it hasn't been reported. It hasn't been like published like that. So there might be someone out there that may know, but I don't know. All right. But I do know that they both bigger 140 pounders, so they're going to rehydrate extremely bigger than the weight limit. So I think they may have been pretty similar and close in weight. If not, one might be a little bit bigger. Still will get punished for being in his system, though. Yep. If it's in a system, he'll be punished. Jake Paul pays his opponents to lose. His knockouts are a bit fishy. I was at the Willie. I covered Jake Paul Willie too, and I was at that fight. If he pays his opponents to lose, that is not a good way to lose because Jake really actually fucking hit Tyron Woodley hard as hell, right? If you're saying that if it's hypothetically set up, I'd rather like pretend getting knocked out versus you actually knock him out and I'm still up because that shit was fucking brutal. So he did lay Woodley out. So that's all I can say. I Test Alone says Morrell can fight. Tall, rangy southpaw with pop. I agree, Johnny. Like I think David Morrell is a as a promising, I can't say prospect or contender because he holds a belt. So he looks the goods. I just haven't put my finger where I place him in the top 10 or top 5, right? I think he can beat some of these guys. I think I favor Morrell over Edgar Berlanga for sure. But does he beat like a Canelo and David Benavidez? It's hard to tell because his resume just is gaps. And so I'm always going to look at a guy who has gaps and always kind of favor the guy who has done more to be, more of a legitimate, give him the more legitimate chance. All right. So Jake Paul's bad for boxing. He's a walking cash machine. I think there's good and bad elements to Jake. All right. I think Jake has brought a lot of attention to the sport of boxing. But then I also think he's also kind of confused people in boxing too. But for the most part, I think is more good than bad. So I can't knock Jake Paul at all. And I think he does bring attention to the sport. So what's crazy though is Lomachenko only has 20 total pro fights, especially with how much everyone's saying how old he is now. I think with Lomachenko, right? The thing about Lomachenko is that he has a lot of amateur background. So when he came into sport professionally, he was older. So you can't really waste your time. And I think his early professional career would have been kind of similar to his amateur background. Just guys that he just better than and he just would have won. So he was moved in a fast track. So he fought really, the best opposition in each weight class he participated in. Some of them were actually drag out wars. And even some fights that he definitely still won convincingly or just, simply just didn't look Lomachenko like. He still took punishment. He's still fighting guys like Pedraza, yeah, I know he didn't look like the best version in the Keyshawn Davis fight, but granted, these are still opponents that still won world titles, competed for world titles, and Lomachenko is now in his third weight class. And at the age that he's at, the opposition he's facing on a consistent basis, the punishment that he might be taking, right? I know that Devin, quote unquote, isn't a knockout artist, but he did take some sort of form of punishment because he took a lot of punches from a guy who's arguably rehydrated to a welterweight. So you got to think, a guy moved up 3 weight classes, and he's still fighting a guy that's probably 2 weight classes higher than him on fight night. So Lomachenko, at his age in those type of fights, he is an old fighter, and the fact that he could still move around and perform and give that thought that he can still compete with Shakur and Javante is still impressive. But you can see he's kind of not the same Lomachenko in the smaller, younger weight classes that he was in. Maxim M. Luna. It seems that all fighters that are under the Snack Victor treatment cut weight and rehydrate almost abnormally. What's your take on that since the treatments are tailored for each fighter? I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm like this guy who knows everything about Snack. I know there's theories that because Victor Conti is a guy who has been, part of people who failed tests, and he's been some sort of affiliate or been part of the development of some sort of the VADA program, that the only logical thing people think is that, hey, since he knows the system of how to fail, then because he is, quote, into the nutrition side, he's going to know things how to pass it. Now, if you look at the integrity of what those things are, people have suspected that if these things were kind of underneath the microscope a little bit more and kind of went into the intentions of how they were developed, that they would be no different than the enhancements that aren't banned. But because these substances aren't banned, then it's legal. So he's not giving you anything illegal, or he's not doing anything illegal. Everything is legal, so you can't fault him. But he can tell you about the illegal side of it. So that's kind of the whole snack like theory, right? He's going to help you, quote unquote, beat the system by not doing anything illegal, but giving you these quote unquote advantages that are in the realms of VADA. And because it's technically not illegal, it's fair. So everything that happens is fair by the books. So I can't really say it's anything bad. I just is there could be a disadvantage, right? And because a lot of boxers in those type of facilities do have the ability to afford these expensive advantage things versus some other people. They feel like it is a form of unfair, quote unquote, cheating because it's not, quote unquote, on an even playing field. But so is life, right? Even if there was not snack involved, people who have money and people behind them are going to give them the best, most effective way to train. So I don't know. Like, I don't really go down the rabbit hole of it too much because if they pass the quote unquote test, I can't fault nobody, all right? I just can't. But do I feel like fighters should fight no, more towards their weight class? Absolutely. I do feel like it is kind of whack that sometimes fighters are extremely bigger than their opposition. But if you can make the weight, you can make the weight, you know? So. And it's their health at the end of the day. Sometimes too much weight cutting is actually bad for you. So if you're in a fight where you cut too much weight and you get beat up in that fight, you can actually take really bad damage in that fight, and it's actually not in your benefit at that point. So, what's about Garrett Antoine Russell? Do you think he's a contender status? I think he's literally just entered contender status, right? Because what's Gary Antoine Russell's box rate, right? Gary Antoine Russell, right? I think he's fair to be like a contender, right? Um, because he's fought guys, and it's kind of similar like the criticism I had about Edgar Blanc, right? He's fought guys like Giovanni Santiago, who essentially arguably gave a good fight against Adrian Broner, and he stopped him when Broner couldn't. He beat Victor Posto by, somewhat of a controversial stoppage, but he still fought a former world champion. He fought Rances Barthélemy with another questionable stoppage, New York, but that's New York refereeing, but beating Rances Barthélemy, who actually gave Jose Ramirez some tough moments in that fight. So I think with Antoine Russell, and then he beat an undefeated Kent Cruz. I think it's fair to say that Gary Antoine Russell is a contender, and he just needs maybe one more marquee name before and he's about to fight another um top kind of contender, Alberto Pollo. So I think he's contender status. Absolutely. How do you see the fight between Sander and Haney, who wins? Sanders' last opponent was a fighter with a lot of losses, but I think Sander is an underrated defensive fighter. I think Mikey Garcia may have potentially overlooked him, not taking away the credit from that. I also thought Sander Martin beat Teofimo Lopez. So it's tough. Sander Martin could be potentially an undefeated fighter and a good undefeated fighter. But I think based off Devin's performance with Ryan, we have to wait to see if there's any type of residual effects on it, right? Um, I think it'll be a boxing match. I think it'll be kind of, very, I don't want to use the word boring, right? Because I hate disrespecting the idea of like boxing and like boxing styles boring. I just saying like it's not going to be probably a fight where it's going to be a lot of highs, a lot of action. I think it's going to be a boxing match. I think Devin, he's okay. He's just going to be the better boxer, and I think he's going to outpoint Sandor Martin in pretty much of a comeback mandatory defense fight, which may potentially make Haney look like Devin Haney. Anything Sandor Martin does would only just be detrimental to Devin. So Devin's going to have to look really good because, you know, if he does get the sympathy of the PEDs, the weight, and all this type of stuff, then they're going to expect that that's the reason why he lost to Ryan. So they expect Devin to look spectacular against Sandor Martin. So if I was Jake Paul, I would make the fight go to distance as long as I can to the last two. Tyson's old. He's a front runner. Love Tyson though. Yeah, absolutely. Test those old lungs. Put him to the limit, right? Because even though he's old, that first round, Mike Tyson might be just ready. Toxic Dad, what up? Facts. Mike Tyson's not gonna let Jake tarnish his legacy. Yeah, maybe for real, guys. Maybe Mike Tyson really puts his light out, and then he's like, like I don't know. Like I can't really give you an honest opinion because it's like not a fight that these type of things don't happen often. So I can't really base it on except for the fact that one's old and one's compared to the other person's experience is not there. You know, Mike Tyson's in people's Hall of Fame top list, and you got Jake Paul, who's just this YouTube guy who really heavily invested his life into boxing. So I really don't know how that fight goes. I really don't. I'm gonna be just as shocked and confused like you guys. Who are your top five lightweights? Well, I mean, by far, I mean it's going to be Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson, Javante Tank Davis. Boxing rankings. Let me see. I mean, I think that's in everyone's top three right there. So my other two will probably be maybe William Zepeda. Like William Zepeda dispatched Maxie Hughes. And then maybe number five would probably be between Keyshawn Davis and the winner of Navarrete and Dennis Bergkamp. Yeah, that's probably that's probably gonna be my top five. Um, with like honorable mentions of like an Andy Cruz, maybe Edward De Los Santos. Like the division's kind of being kind of cleaned out as we speak. So, I really like Abdullah Mason. I wouldn't put him top five because he's just a brand new prospect. But really, guys, you're gonna hear me talk about Abdullah Mason a lot. I think Abdullah Mason is a very talented, extremely eye passing test prospect. Abdullah Mason looks fucking freakishly good. With some respectable names like Raymond Moritaya. I know he had a lackluster last performance, but I like Raymond Moritaya. I think Frank Martin could be an honorable mention. Maybe he can slide in as the tie of the the bottom five with um, Keyshawn Davis and Navarrete winner. But yeah, that's pretty much my five with a couple honorable mentions and some good names. So we'll see. Can Devin choose a rematch with Ryan or take mandatory? No, he can't choose to fight Ryan. Ryan, well, I mean, I get what you're saying. If Ryan gave him the rematch in the man, I mean, I think they had to do step aside money for to get this Ryan fight. So it depends then if Sandor Martin wants to do step aside money again, which, by all means, you get money for not fighting, but you don't get an opportunity, right? So it really depends on him. Lomachenko was fast tracked and won about real early, like his third pro fight. So he basically had championship fights his whole. I agree. I agree. And this is my honest thing about Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko is one of those fighters where I think he's not the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I'm not rating him like this all-time amazing top five fighter ever. But I don't think he's this trash, overhyped job fighter that top ranks pushing that's garbage and gets all this preferential treatment, which he might get some preferential treatment. But it's just like he's not that, right? Um, I believe Lomachenko is a good, if not a great fighter that's for sure absolutely going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame, who's never going to get the fights in his prime. And his greatest moments are after his primes. And his greatest moments might be the fact that he heavily contested against guys who are at the peak, if not like the top of their division, and arguably fighting guys in the fourth or fifth in weight class when he's in a third weight class, right? A small guy fighting these tremendously big lightweights and going toe to toe and arguably maybe this close to beating Tio and had the world thinking he beat Devin Haney, right? So, and he's a multi division world champion. Um, And even if he has any moments against guys like Shakur and Tank when they're entering their prime and he's entering out, I think Lomachenko is definitely a Hall of Fame fighter. Like I said, he's not overly hyped. I think he is underappreciated. I think he's overly hyped in certain aspects, and I think he's hated for the wrong reasons. I think Lomachenko is just one of those great Hall of Fame fighters that people remember, but you either loved him or you hated him, but you at least had acknowledged his presence, right? Toxic Dad. Tyson's ones, he gets in the ring, he's real for him. It's real for him. He's training like he's training for a real That's what I'm getting. I'm getting that. I'm starting to get that vibe. Like Mike is not fucking around. I think Mike is really actually taking this fight super serious. How his body, how he looks, I don't know, right? So that's really like I'm not gonna act like I know these things. I don't know. So I do think he's taking it serious. I just don't know until fight night how he will look. Inu will Tank alive, and he would never fight Tank. I don't think Inoue Tank is a fair fight simply because I think Inoue's skill set is probably better than Tank's, but I think Tank's IQ is underrated. Tank is extremely big, and he, if not, has the same punch or maybe a bigger punch than Inoue, right? Because I think Inoue is a sniper, and I think Tank is just a very God-gifted, heavy-loaded puncher. So I don't want to see that fight. I think the problem with Inoue and Tank is that people are asking for that because those are two really good known name fighters, right? Marquee name fighters that are close in some sort of proximity, but in reality they're really this far apart. So Inoue doesn't have a marquee name that's like a Tank in his closer division that people are dreaming to fight. So you keep scaling up these weight classes, and then finally, boop, I found Tank, right? So until Inoue finds like his Manny to his Floyd or like his Spence to his Crawford, I think we're always going to have this unrealistic expectation of Inoue fighting Tank, and I just don't like the fight. Because I think Tank beats Inoue, but I'd have Inoue higher on my like pound for pound rankings. If I ever really truly created a top 10, I would put Inoue over Tank for that reason. Um, just because Tank's a bomb and scared to fight elite like Loma and Shakur, much likely Inoue. What are you talking about? Tank has Loma and Shakur in the schedule. Tank's gonna fight them. Tank's gonna fight them. Inoue said he won't ever fight Tank, not the other way around. He's ducking Loma for 7 straight years now. Loma's easy to roll. Anonymous gaming. I really believe that we were kind of between Loma and Tank. I feel like when it was 7, 8 years ago, it would have been an extremely great moment, right, for Lomachenko to be able to fight Tank. But I think they knew the risk at that time of a young Gervonta Tank Davis fighting Lomachenko. So, and they also knew the value that they had this guy who was very talented, had a lot of money, and we could actually take our time because he's older. So when we decide to fight Loma, he's in favor for us, not the other way around, right? If he keeps doing what he's doing, we keep doing what we're doing, at some point we will meet up. But when we meet up, it will be in our benefit versus your benefit. And it might be that time now. And I think that regardless of whatever way you look at it, I think if Lomachenko beat Tank, you're gonna get people saying, "Oh, Tank was too young," blah 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 blah, right? Which that's what they're gonna say. And then by Tank beating Lomachenko now, they're gonna say, "Hey, Lomachenko's old. He's over the hill." You can see visibly. I agree that you can tell Lomachenko does not look like Lomachenko, right? But this might be also the best opportunity for Tank and Loma to make the most amount of money, and that's really what boxing's. They're prize fighting, so you have to look at it outside of just what makes sense as a boxing fan, but what makes sense as a boxing business. So that might be truly what it really comes down to. Again, Tank isn't ducking no one. I agree with you. I don't think Tank is ducking anyone. I could see Inoue making lightweight, but I don't see his power translating well. Um, yeah, I just he can make the weight. He could probably beat a lot of guys at the lower rankings, but when it comes to the top guys, weight's gonna really play a factor, and his power might not be his fighting style with his power may not benefit him because people know he can punch. So if they don't respect his punching power up there, then so be it. That's it. General Knox, Regis versus Campos. This is the next one to make sense. I would probably favor Regis in that case because Campos has never fought at 140. Regis is a heavy-handed puncher. Campos is fast, but Campos did just get stopped. So probably needs to calm down and not fight another tough fight. Cambosis has been running through, I don't want to say running through, but he has been going through fights like Tio, Devin, took a break, Maxi Hughes, Lomachenko, right? So anyway, fans be making up nonsense. I don't think they make not. I mean, when you say like fight Tank, yeah. I mean, I think that's just not understanding how weight classes maybe truly affect fighters, right? Loma wasn't ready for Tank. He left to go to war for his country. Yeah, he has had a lot of stuff in his mind, kind of working those type of things out. Boxing learner, William Zepeda versus Navarrete. I like that fight. It's a bloodbath. Depending how Navarrete looks this Saturday, if he looks good, could be like a 50, 40, 60. If he looks kind of then I got Zepeda by stoppage. What's going on, man? I forgot to mention Kiwi the other night. He was oh, okay. Yeah, what's up? So, all right. It looks like the chat kind of died a little bit, and so I want to just jump on for a little bit to react with you guys. Wanted to talk a little bit boxing. This press conference was very anticlimactic, so I don't know if there's much to go and talk about. We do have a lot of clips going up, so I didn't really get to pay attention too much because the stream I was watching was failing on me. But just to quickly recap on the quick live, just to kind of hang out, LOL, is Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Just one of those fights where I didn't ask for it. It's not on my bucket list, but it's here, right? Kiwi, LOL. Um, was not on my bucket list. Was not on my bingo card. Um, I think Taylor Serrano as a co-main is a great supportive co-main for hardcore boxing fans. I'll definitely be wanting to see that rematch because Katie Taylor was in distress in that fight. Ryan Garcia, I know it's part of Ryan's gimmick in his game. He's a lot of trolling and he goes at fighters. Maybe not on Mother's Day to kind of go at Kambosa's mama, right? Or no, it wasn't his mom, it was his girl, right? Which was a mom, which like Kambosa talking to his mom, which was a defense, right? Fair enough. Just there's some times where it's warranted. I don't think Ryan and Kambosa was going at was also on my bingo list, so but Ryan definitely has an opportunity to prove the world that he didn't do anything wrong. So May 22nd, I'll probably go live and have a good one. It's pronounced Cowie. Oh, yo, listen. I actually didn't even know who you were even mentioning to me about. Oh, okay, okay, okay. All right. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, Dwight Muhammad. Yeah, Muhammad, fucking beast. Didn't he have like a lot of fights in Philly? Yeah, I think I watched some YouTube documentaries about him too. Right, before my time. So bear with me, right? But so we got to give Ryan the benefit of the doubt to May 22nd, and later, bro. Have a good night. Have a good one. Yeah. Anyone would demolish your overrated fighter tank rehydration clause, Davis. Look, my thing is if Inoue beats Gervonta Tank Davis, then we're talking about, if not one of the best fighters that I've ever watched in my entire life. And that includes guys like Floyd, Roy Jones Jr., Manny Pacquiao, like Bernard Hopkins, like like if Inoue was able to beat Tank, like I might have to reshuffle some of these guys around and put Inoue over somebody, right? Because that is absolutely insane. So, anonymous gaming, I'm with it. I would favor Tank simply because of weight and size, right? Not discrediting Inoue's skills because I think Inoue is higher on a pound for pound list. But if he's able to accomplish that, I am going to be wearing Inoue shirts for the rest of my entire life, right? So, and I don't think Tank's overrated. I think Tank is going to go onto a crazy run of just fighting everyone we want him to fight. I don't know when. It might be starting soon, but once Tank gets that ball rolling, he's gonna start going. But right now, I understand the criticism and I respect the criticism because really, at the end of the day, when you got your contemporaries going after the belts and going on paper and doing these things that are factually facts, then you can't knock it. And I think Tank is kind of in the middle ground of fighting certain guys that gives you that impression that he belongs there. He just hasn't fought each other. So, but we don't know, right? Um, and he's a small guy too. He's a small guy, some like anyway fighting guys bigger than him, right? So, but yeah, we'll see. But if Jake Paul kills Mike Tyson, I don't want to think about it, Chad. That would be very depressing. I think boxing would definitely get a black eye. If we allowed a professional boxing match with a guy of that age, with that respectable known name, and that happens. I think boxing will be in some shit. Will be a lot of criticism. Mainstream media will destroy the sport for a little bit, bash it. I think the sanctioning bodies will all reevaluate. Texas will be underneath a lot of scrutiny. Jake Paul will probably go through a lot of depression. Like, personally, I don't want to think about that because, yeah, that's pretty ugly. And it's definitely not on anyone's bucket list here. Anyway, just got dropped. Tank has way more power, too big for anyway. Uh, yeah, I think if Tank lands clean on anyway, it's night night. I think it's done. which once again has nothing to do with Inouye's ability to fight. I think it just purely comes down to weight, size, and Tank does have a really good IQ as well. So you're gonna get touched. Like that Inoue ain't getting out that fight not getting touched. So not saying Inoue ain't gonna be speedy and land some shit, but if Tank really lands on Inoue, shit gonna be different. Like that shit gonna be different because that weight jump is pretty high. You know, it's asking a lot, and I'm only keeping a buck. Like I got Inoue as my number two pound for pound. I got a lot of love for Inoue as a fighter. I'm not one of the content creators out here criticizing him or going down a steroid conspiracy or like downplaying his accomplishments or saying his opponents aren't good. I'm a fan of Inoue, but if you want me to be completely honest in my opinion, I think Tank sleeps Inoue. I just don't see that fight being competitive at all. So, LOL, sure, I've been saying that for years. Yep. Has anyone been tested by VADA? Yeah, absolutely. He's been tested by VADA. When it comes to having the green belt, the sanctioning body of the WBC, when you're in the top 15, it's mandatory to get testing. Now, is there testing the same? Is WBC testing the same as, like, how would I say? There is different tiers of VADA testing, right? This is what's not really explained to people. When it comes to VADA testing, you can get like the bronze package, the silver package, the gold package. Now, what package the WBC falls into, like it might not be as intense as the gold package, but anyway, it has been VADA tested. You have to be VADA tested to be ranked in the WBC. If it's only one time, okay, it was one time. If it's 10 times, it's 10 times. But I don't think the WBC does the gold package of, or the benefit of the doubt of the fighter that lost or won, right? they, Fans don't really aren't that invested because if that's the case, if I did a VADA video on a just consistently, those views should reflect like the topics of other stuff, and it doesn't. So, at the end of the day, you know, it just it's just not a thing that media goes involved into because we people do ask for tests and do stuff like that. So, oh, yeah. Did I get disconnected? Oh, please wait. Oh, okay, my bad. I got disconnected for a little bit. Um, That might be a sign that I should be getting off. But has anyone been tested by VADA? Oh yeah, yeah, I just answered all that. In the US? I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Um, Hope not. Jake, crazy to let Mike fight almost 60. I agree. Can Tank refuse to be tested by VADA? Well, if Tank is not in a sanctioned body, right? Because remember, and Tank, just so you know, Tank has done VADA. Tank is Tank is definitely VADA tested. Um, Tank isn't fighting for the WBC. He doesn't really care for it. So, because of it, you can't force him in it. And so, VADA is only being implemented based on the fighters that are interested in using it. So, if let's say a fighter fights Tank and they say, I'm only fighting you, Tank, if we do VADA testing. And Tank says, sure, fuck it, why not? I don't care. Whatever. We'll take it out of your purse if that's what you want. We'll take it out of your purse, not my purse. I'm going to make my money. If you really want it, take it out of your purse, and then so be it. You know, I'm cool with that. I'm not losing my money, you know? So there's a lot of angles into it. So he can refuse technically. Fighters can fight without body testing, you know? Um, why do we argue for our favorite fighters by calling other fighters bum? LOL, fighters do that too with their I don't know. And I think the worst part is that when what fighters also, fans also do, which I don't understand, is that when fighters beat, like when their favorite fighters beat other fighters, they're quick to call that fighter a bum. So then what does that mean? Your favorite fighter is a bum bash, right? You always want to big up your opponent so that at the end of the day, it adds to your credibility. And that's why you'll get the respect. You want to big your opponent up. So when time's to shine, you can tell them, look, these are great fighters, and look what I can do to great fighters, right? So, but all right. I think a little past the expiration date. Just want to jump in on just a little bit. Just chatting with you guys. I'll be going live throughout this week a little bit, especially if there's some hot topics. This is just something just to kind of engage with you guys over the weekend. I did a live show, so I just want to just touch bases. Appreciate you guys always coming in, showing some support. Mr. Seven, you know. Yeah, they're fighting all bumps in. Yeah, look, I appreciate all you guys. You know what I mean? Like I always tell you guys, if you write it, I'll read it. I'm gonna be extremely transparent with you guys. I'll always pull your chat up, comment. I won't ignore it. I'll take time to digest, answer each one of them, and I appreciate you guys just being respectful. Right? There's a lot of chats out there that get really nasty, and you can disagree respectfully in the chat, but just at a level of just intellect and fairness and being open to people's opinions. So, but when I feel like it, maybe a hot topic, maybe even tonight, if something breaks news, right, like something crazy, you'll see your boy jump on here, chat a little bit. But if you guys can do me a favor, a few that's in here, there's a whole bunch of content from the Mike Tyson press conference today. I don't know what's being put up, but if you get a chance, take a look. I'm gonna look at it as well, see if there's anything hot. Wasn't my favorite press conference, but yeah, they block everyone. Yeah, we don't block over here. The only thing that gets timed out, keyword timed out, is those random streams that pop up and they just flood the chat. Like, come over here, the link spams. Yeah, so that's about it. But I appreciate you guys as always. Please support me. I'll support you guys. You guys are super chill. So for the most part, I appreciate everyone here. Danny, Mr. Seven, Chad King, Red, General Knox, Boxing Learner, Anonymous Gaming, like Toxic Dad, Johnny, TV Boxeo, One Five Porcupine, um, Charles, like all you guys that jumped in here. I appreciate you guys always, major media, the consistency, even the hater, the Kareem, dude. If you in here at the end still, I appreciate you. Keep on hating. So, all right, y'all. Appreciate you guys. You guys are the best. Peace.